Then one other funny thing that happened.
Yeah.
I was interested in this girl. I soon realized that the other girls were laughing at her.
Oh my.
That, no, what are you going to do with Brian? Are you going to be singing?
What do you spend your time on?
It's clearly music, but of
Yeah.
course I'm involved in a few other things that may not necessarily be music related.
Yeah.
I run a music school, music academy. I am saying those choruses
Yes.
that you're talking about,
Yeah.
and as part of
Our musical heritage.
yes, by now the church, the global church should have come up with a project where the hymnal is now redone to incorporate all sorts of music. I'm talking about Caribbean music,
Yes.
African music,
Yes.
Japanese, Korean, or whatever it
Asian,
is.
all over.
Bring it in. Bring it in. You may argue and say, let it be in one language, which is English. That's fine. I don't have a
Okay.
problem.
Translated to.
Translated, but we are talking about character. The character of the music, the composition of the music is typically African. I would find it ridiculous for anybody to say, why should we do this? The same question would be asked, why should it only be the Western style?
Yes. Greetings, MelVee family. I hope I find you well. I'm Melusi Ndhlalambi, your host for this MelVee podcast on the go. On this show, we talk about anything, anyone, from anywhere, and we really just want to express ourselves in terms of lifestyle issues, worship issues, family issues. So there's going to be something for you. So I'm hoping that you'll sit back, you'll follow us for the next hour or so. And if this is new to you, you've not subscribed to MelVee Broadcasting Network before, this is a privilege I'm giving you to just look at that red button right now before I go on in 3, 2, 1, click, click, click. I hope you've clicked it. And please do like this live broadcast or this podcast if you've been here before. Leave a comment below. We would like to hear from you. And today, I'm speaking on a very special subject matter that I'm sure young people, those who are professionals, who are worshippers would know about. Let's talk about music. So I brought someone whom I know is a guru on music. Greetings, Brother Brian, and how are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
I've been raving to the viewers about you now.
Wow.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you very much. How are you doing?
This is amazing for me to sit down with you here to talk about music.
All right.
Because for a while I've been observing you from very far. You know, whenever we're in the control room at Santon STA,
yes.
you're always in front then doing your thing with the little kids, all of those music festivals, and I'm like, wow, this brother is gifted.
Wow.
The other time you were conducting the choir at Santon,
Yes.
when we were still in that old church, and we were trying to record.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, the brother is gifted. The other time I see you, you're in a male quartet. And the beautiful thing was you were singing even with your son.
Yes.
So we're here to talk about music, Brian, music. I don't know. I'm sure if I cut your veins, I'll find some. I'll find some notes. How have you been?
I'm fine, and much appreciated.
Yes.
That's humbling.
But I also know that you do more than music.
Yes.
So maybe tell our viewers out there, who's Brian? What do you do? What really makes you tick? And what do you spend your time on?
Well, like, from your introduction, it's clearly music, but of course I'm involved in a few other things that may not necessarily be music related.
Yeah.
But currently I run a music school, music academy, where I have a bunch of students that come in to learn predominantly piano, but we have guitar, we have violin, and we are now soon to introduce percussion. That's the drums, the drum kit, and any other different percussive instrument that one would be interested in learning. And of course, we leave it open to just about any instrument.
All right.
The beauty of what I do is, if I can't teach an instrument, I have so many friends that teach different instruments.
All right.
That I can just call upon and say, look, come in. I have a bunch of students for you that you can teach. Yeah.
But music, and Brian, you've not always been doing music, have you?
Well, I have. I would say I have been doing music. Well, I'm a trained music teacher. So,
all right.
So I've always I trained to teach music. When I went to tertiary education, I trained predominantly to teach music. Of course, English was part of the subjects I was trained to teach, but I've never taught it.
All right.
I've just, my interest has been music.
I'm sure on the day you were born, there were some notes you strung out.
You know, interestingly, as far back as, what year was that? In the 70s. I remember my father used to be a musician. He played piano.
Okay.
And he taught me a little bit of piano in my early years.
All right.
And soon I went off while I was still in high school to learn formally how to read staff notation on piano, and I did a few courses. Then obviously later went into studying music to teach it. But what I was trying to say is I remember a small, as tiny as I could be in church. My father putting me on a stool. I think, because I was tiny, people wouldn't see me, so he put me on a stool to sing a song. All right. In church. So it started way back. I was exposed to that kind
of thing. If only there was media those years, you'd be a superstar today. To say, look at me.
Yes, and growing up, I had some special friend, and I still happen to be very close with this guy. We were close, and we sang. We did stuff together. Okay. Music related stuff together. His name is Paddy.
Paddy, I know him.
Paddy, the bass guy. Yes.
Yes, from the Brethren Quartet.
Yes.
Paddy, we got you, my brother.
Yeah. All right. So with Paddy, we did these things. We sang, and we were tiny, but we would be elevated onto some platform and would present songs in church. Yes. Wow. And we got involved with choir stuff very early because my dad, for some reason, was on my case. Were you
the oldest?
No, I wasn't even the oldest.
So what was it about him and you and music? 6. Oh, yeah. Were you the last one?
No, second last. Third last, actually. So I had 2 young sisters.
But in terms of the boys, you were the youngest boy.
I was the youngest boy. The firstborn was the only brother I had. Yeah, the firstborn in the family. Yeah, and in fact, with the Heritage Brothers, where Paddy's singing now, we started that quartet with my brother, my late brother, and 2 other brothers, a cousin and a friend who later turned out to be our brother-in-law because he married into the family. All right. Yeah, so we kind of grew up
with music in your doorstep.
Yes, with music. I could hear chords in my head as a very young. Your dreams were about music? Yes. I would hear things and then I would quickly run to the piano and try and play them. Play those things I'm hearing and come up with an arrangement of a song based on what I'm hearing in my head. Wow. And I wouldn't understand at first. I would say, why do I
hear these things?
Almost, I can almost hear the song that I'm trying to create, an arrangement that I'm trying to create. I can almost hear it in my head before I even do it.
It's a spirit thing, I guess, a talent.
Exactly. Yeah. And of course, my life has been, in terms of music, quartet music. You mentioned quartet music. Yes. I have sung quartet music all my life.
I think you love that.
I love that.
There can never be Brian in music without
quartet, without 4-part harmony. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. And I've sung that.
So your dad did this to you?
Yes.
Are you doing the same to Junior?
I hope I'm not.
Because I've seen Junior loves it too.
But if I am, it's good because I like what he's doing. I love it. I love it when I see him, doing his thing, playing the keys. I really love it. I enjoy seeing him do nice stuff on the piano. And then he's been arranging songs and his arrangements are pretty good.
Very good.
Pretty good. Yeah. My dad sang in a quartet. I grew up watching them, looking at them singing, and I loved it. And
yes,
I ended up doing that. Yeah, and I would say probably my dad has had 99% influence on what I do these days. Yeah.
Wow. God bless this soul. Is still alive?
No. He's
late now.
He's late. Yes. He's late.
God bless him for the work he did with you. So here you are exposed to music at home.
Yes.
And then at church it's automatic because that's where the outlet is.
Exactly.
The first outlet.
Exactly.
What else did you do when you were young? Did you go to any competitions? Did you showcase yourself, or you spend more time in the church?
You know, I spent mostly, doing music mostly in the church. I did get involved in music competitions at school.
Okay.
Not necessarily competitions, but music activities at school. And before long, my friends started calling me the choir boy.
You're always there.
Always the choir, the choir boy. When there's something to be sung, they say, hey, Brian, come. And
you are the one.
Somehow I didn't like it. I felt like they were teasing me, Why are they calling on me when it's time to,
to
sing and so on? Then one other funny thing that happened.
Yeah.
I was interested in this girl.
Okay.
At school, way back in the day.
Yeah.
So, and I tried to speak to her, and I soon realized that the other girls were laughing at her.
Oh my!
That no, what are you going to do with Brian? Are you going to be singing?
You sing all the time. Brian will teach you how to sing.
Is Brian going to teach you how to sing?
Oh my Lord! That's how much deep you were into this thing.
That's how much I was involved in music, in singing and stuff. At school,
but I would think girls would run after you because you are the guy who can sing. I mean, he's got this beautiful tenor. You can play the instrument. They should be running after you.
Absolutely. And to speak to that particular instance, when she let it out to say, look, girls were saying, what are you going to be doing with him? Laughing and so on. That didn't make me lose the proposal. No, I managed to get her.
All right.
And she just mentioned, look, this is what the girls were saying, but it made me feel a bit funny. But talking about that later in the years, all the girls
want to be close to you.
Wanted to be close with us. When you're visiting churches and different places, and you've sang, and maybe at the break or at the end of the concert, everyone just wants to be around you. I don't know what it is with singing and girls.
No, they love it.
They love it.
I think singing is divine.
It is divine.
And men who can bring out the best musical, because Brian, some of us, I'm not speaking for myself, some of us out there don't risk it for our ears to put us on the mic. We can't sing. So when we see someone who sings well, there's something it does to us.
Okay.
Music is a divine instrument, and those are the things I want us to talk to, because I've seen many people getting lost when they discover they have it.
Yes.
Because you then become the center of attraction.
Exactly.
And suddenly you are the guy.
Exactly.
And because you and I believe in the Bible that the guy who's now our arch enemy was naturally gifted.
Yes.
And so he uses it as a drawing instrument. We'll talk about that later on. But what I'm interested in is how you came through those early years in church, high school, university. Did this exposure to music at home impact the choices you made for what to study?
Exactly, it did.
How did it impact?
It did. From when I was in grade 12 already, I could feel, what I want to do is music. I want to teach other people how to sing.
All right.
I want to teach other people how to make music, how to develop the craft and entertain and maybe for lack of a better word, entertain wouldn't be the primary thing that I was intending to do, but like help propagate the word, the gospel.
Share the skill.
Share the word through this skill, through this talent.
Yes.
Enable people to spread
the good news through music.
Through music, yeah. So that started to be my desire.
Yeah.
More stronger and stronger. And clearly after matriculating, I went to study. Well, I didn't study immediately, but I focused on getting to a music school and study to teach music. Yeah.
Right. But during your college years, what was, besides music, did you do any training, educational degrees, or you focused a lot on music?
I went straight for a music degree. I went straight for a music qualification.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I went straight to study.
So there are degrees that actually train people to become professional.
Yes, there are several degrees that a musical degree, in musicology.
All right.
Music history, composition, arranging. There are all sorts of degrees that you can do in music.
Yeah. So you being naturally gifted, or at least your father wringing it out of you, whichever the case might be. Yeah. You discover you've got this passion for this area. You go for training. Would you think you'd have been a better musician with or without training? How much has training impacted your way of now imparting or using that gift for music?
Yeah, training. Actually, at some point, I thought I didn't need it. I thought I didn't need training because I had already started teaching.
Yeah, because I've seen people
even
who are
before
gifted.
Yes, who are gifted. They can play instruments. They can sing.
So these people are gifted.
Yes, you see, that's one thing with the arts. It's something that is inside you, locked somewhere, and it just needs a trigger.
Okay.
For it to manifest and come out, and you can actually do quite a lot even without formal training. But of course, what formal training does is it aligns.
All right.
A lot of aspects
it
of
polishes.
The subjects. Yeah, yes.
And professionalizes the way you do it.
Because now, you see, like I told you, I started teaching already. Even before I got trained. I had piano students, I had voice students. And when I got trained, just the methodology itself put me on a different level. Totally different level.
So you would recommend anyone, even if they have talent?
Yes.
In fact, get trained.
They must cultivate that talent by getting some form of training, which will just make them better. Better musicians, yes. You can still become an accomplished musician without training. You can excel and do all sorts of things and have a full, career out of it. But training always does something. It elevates you to yet another level and makes it a lot better for you to. A lot easier for you to actually attain whatever goals you set for yourself.
But let's take a lateral view on this one. Could we say that only the privileged families have access to such kind of training? Because what if someone is sitting in Alex right now, Soweto, Mamelodi, the townships? Did you come from a privileged family that could afford a piano at home? Just look into the space of socio-economic status. Would you think that music is available and it can also be enjoyed by those who are in the lower status? Or it's for the privileged classes because they can afford the extra instruments that come with the training that you need? Or anyone can get into this space if they feel like it?
You see, that actually makes me sad in the sense that I know of a lot of musicians, very good musicians, brilliant keyboard players, brilliant singers who attained those levels purely out of tenacity.
Just the grit.
Just going for it. At school, most of these, Model C schools, when we grew up, I was born in the 60s, but in my country, where I originally come from, we were already independent in 1964. So I was born free, so to speak. And there were those schools that were originally dedicated
white
for
group, white schools.
white schools, which we now had a privilege and an opportunity to go to. And you would find pianos in every hall at those schools. Almost every school had a piano and a few maybe other musical instruments that had survived, and so on. So from there, then you would see people just teaching themselves, just going for it, sitting there,
exposure.
And experimenting and finding their way around the instrument and coming out of there with decent ability to actually play that instrument. Now my question is, what would come out of those if they had the opportunity to actually be taught? Like the kids that I'm teaching now, the bunch of kids that that go through me, piano lessons, guitar, and so on. I go back in time and ask myself, if in my time we had opportunities like this, what would have become of all those friends and peers of mine that struggled through? It's quite sad, but a talent is a talent, a gift is a gift. I said it's locked up inside. It's just waiting for somebody
fire
to
that's just
it's
burning inside.
It's going
You
to
just need a
at some
trigger.
point it's going to explode and come out. So it's something that hurts a lot when you talk of Alex, Mamelodi, and all these other places. It's true that we have a bunch of people sitting in there with talent, but have had no opportunity to actually exploit that talent and use it to the fullest. It's unfortunate, but that's the reality of things.
And of course, I mean, looking at my own background as well, I didn't grow up in a very privileged community. The greatest privilege I had was to have a family that was stable.
Yes.
And so that then gave you an ability to then know who you are early.
Yes.
Because parents would tell you, you are good at this and this and this, and they could see it.
Yeah.
But we didn't have exposure to some of the things I feel today. If only I had exposure early,
yes,
I would have been someone totally different and
exactly
more. So their talents, I think, are still innate in some of us.
Yes.
Because they never got an environment to be exposed.
Yes.
And one of them was music, particularly the playing of instruments. And perhaps even the voice. I actually was joking with one of my friends I grew up with in the townships. And I said, if we had grown up in this age where there's these digital cameras and all of this, by now we would have been famous, man.
Yes.
Because the things we used to do back then without.
Exactly.
If only we had privilege.
Yes.
But also the other thing I noted, and maybe you could speak to this one, because you've grown up in a multicultural environment.
Yes.
How much is our culture influencing the way music is expressed by us?
That question is very good. I'll discuss it this way. Let me speak to our Christian walk. I have always battled with the issue of culture and music, purely because my music has been predominantly church music.
All right.
It's been church music. I've been involved with music in church.
Okay.
At some point, while experimenting, peer pressure and all that, tried a little bit of secular, Michael Jackson stuff. We loved that. We would try
a
to
few keys
dance
of
to
his.
that and try a few chords. And but something just held me back. Pulled me back and said, "Hey, don't go that route.
All right.
Try and stick to
the church stuff that the worship stuff."
People might say, "Why did you do that? You should have opened up your mind and all that." But I don't regret. I like it. I'm happy. It turned out like that. Now, talking about culture.
Yeah.
I grew up experiencing. It was unspoken, not clearly spoken, not clearly spelled out, but experiencing a notion that our traditional music and our cultural approach to music and so on was not exactly in line with Christianity. That bothered me for many years.
Yeah, it's almost like a black and white line was there between African and the Christian, more or Western style of music.
I couldn't understand why, because I was young at the time. I just wondered, but why is it like that? And luckily, my parents we're not that
conservative.
Let me be very careful there. They were Adventists, clear Adventists,
traditional
Adventists, and they were involved in the church. They believed in the
Sabbath keeping,
the doctrines of the church and everything. But I remember, especially my dad, he wasn't very silent about these issues.
Okay.
He spoke out and always, I can remember as young as I was, that he was always saying, there's nothing wrong with praising God in a traditional song or in a
traditional
local
instrument
song with a traditional instrument. Then worse still, my mom's young brother was a massive musician.
All right.
He was an educator, and he was a maths teacher, but predominantly did music and wrote books, music books and so on.
Okay.
He went even further, and I appreciate these people because they made me realize ultimately that our culture is very rich.
Okay.
And when I say our culture, I'm not just referring to my tribe, but I'm referring to the African culture.
All right.
Because it's very similar. It's very similar.
Yeah.
And our culture is very rich when it comes to music and
expressing yourself in any fine art.
And be it weddings, funerals, worship, and all that.
And we bring that to church, eh?
Yeah.
There's no way an African can sing and be standing still.
No.
Very expressive.
No, not at all. Yeah. And I would see this, when we have weddings, when we have funerals, when we have just gatherings, social gatherings. Yeah. When music starts, it was a hive of activity. The vibe, the atmosphere just changes.
In fact, nothing gets done in Africa without a
music.
rhythm.
Without music.
Yes.
You'll find a mother preparing maybe a dish or pounding, grinding some
millet or whatever.
Millet or millies or whatever. It will be to a song, to a rhythm. Yes, to a rhythm.
Yeah, there's a song.
Yes, and a baby is crying, and they want to make the baby sleep. It's to a song.
Wow.
A baby is born. There's a song that is sang.
There's a funeral.
There's a song.
There's someone gets wedded.
There's a song. So I found it very, very difficult to understand why that should be considered bad. I just found that very difficult to understand growing up. Then I was talking to you about my uncle.
Yeah.
Now he was radical. He just
said, went deep into this thing.
He said, "Look, this has to stop." But of course, he was, fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah.
But he brought, marimbas. Marimbas are more modern. I mean, like when you say marimbas, we're talking of these Western instruments, tuned to the chromatic scale and all that. But I'm talking about silimbas. Like in my country, we call them silimba. Which are very much like the marimbas, but traditionally made. And the sound, the gauges, the sound holes, the sound boxes, those
the ones that
calabashes that are put underneath there, were actually fruits, where they remove they open the top and remove the inner inside, part of the fruit, and then dry it up and then use that different sizes and tune them to a specific pitch. And of course, it's a pentatonic scale, by the way. It's called the pentatonic scale. It's a scale of 5 notes. That's the African scale. Do, la, so, mi, re, do. That's the African scale.
Wow.
The Western scale is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. But the African is do, la, so, mi, re, do. 5 notes.
Really?
Yes. Amazing Grace is an African song. Did you know that?
I heard Wintley Phipps talk about it.
Amazing Grace. If you sing Amazing Grace, it only has those 5 notes.
I heard Wintley Phipps talk about it.
That is the African scale.
That the guy who wrote it, the slave master, got the tune from the slave who was humming it in the deck.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
That's an African song. There's so many African songs. An example, what can I think of the top? Unfortunately, you may not know it. It's a Zambian song. It says, Mayo wafa, namadenga. That's a traditional song from my tribe. It's made up of those 5.
Just 5 songs.
5 notes.
No.
That's it.
Done.
Namadenga.
Done.
Napo panshi, namadenga. It's just that.
Wow.
And that's an African. So you see, now my uncle decided, I'm going to introduce this in church.
Okay.
He had a lot of pushback, but at the same time he had some support.
Wow.
Because people could not prove to him that there was something wrong spiritually, something wrong with
the
that.
Scale
with
and
the
how
scale,
to
with
do
the
it.
song, with the lyrics. Everything was praising the
And they
Lord.
were harvesting fruits from nature. Even the signs of knowing which pitch and scale to put along this so that it makes a specific sound.
Exactly.
That's an art by
Mbira
itself.
is another instrument.
Yes.
That he used a lot. You know, he used to
those
praise
metal bars, strings.
Yes, to praise the Lord. To praise the Lord, and when that happened, now that was for me. That was the pivoting point. You know, then I said, okay, now I'm convinced there's absolutely nothing wrong.
We've got this thing.
With the drum, with my African drum, with the skin and all that, absolutely nothing wrong.
Yes.
I can sing and praise my Lord with this.
So what is the problem then for us not incorporating this into our movement?
That's the $1 million question. That's a $1 million question. Now, here is the thing. That's as the modern young people say, this is my POV. Point of view. Yeah. I'm not saying it's gospel truth, but that's my point of view.
That's according to Brian.
Yes, according to me.
Yes.
We, of course, Christianity was introduced to us as Africans way back. And when it was introduced to us, it was introduced in a Western way. Not that I'm saying Christianity is not an African thing. Christ is for all of us.
Yeah.
We are all under his embrace, and we believe in God, and we believe in Jesus Christ as our personal Savior and all. But when it was introduced to us, it was introduced with a Western connotation to it.
Lots of Western cultural
so the Western
practices.
Culture introduced it to us with alongside its practices.
And its arts.
Talk of the white wedding, talk of the hymns, which of course I love. They're brilliant. The hymns came with it.
Yeah.
You know, the other cultural activities that the West practices.
The dressing as well.
The dressing and all
and
that.
And the mannerisms of how you deliver.
Yes, how you deliver. And everything came along with the faith. Yes, so that already just right there was the problem.
Okay,
because in my opinion, my humble opinion, yes, the Christianity, the faith should have been introduced. It's good it was introduced to. In fact, doesn't mean that we were not worshiping. We were worshiping even before the Western culture came in with, the Christianity came in with all the Western culture alongside it. We still were worshiping. We believed in God. Supernatural power, in God, and we're worshiping in our own way.
Yeah.
So when that was introduced, it should have fitted into our culture. Yes, into our culture. I'm okay with the fact that we have the Western culture that has come with the faith, but I have a problem with pushing out or doing away with the African culture in the context that
it's music,
not
it's demonic.
good. It's demonic. These, I've heard stuff like these instruments are used to summon demons, or
like the drum,
or or people that have died, people that have
rituals for the dead,
for the dead, and all that kind of stuff. By the way, those things happen even in Europe. There's a lot of stuff that happens in Europe, in the realm of witchcraft and all that. That does not automatically mean that anything African, in terms of musical instrument and so on and so forth, is used to conjure up some evil spirit and so on and so forth. So that's the misconception that has grown over the years, and as we grew up, sadly, we were told these things. We could hear the elderly, arguing it out in line with that kind of notion that, no, don't bring that in church. But the piano is in church, and the truth of the matter is when you watch TV, and the same piano could be used in a rock band. In a rock band. And I mean, we know that.
Yes.
Pianos are used, keyboards are used in rock bands. And you know what a rock band does? I mean, we know. Nobody, they freely express it. They don't hide it. So I found it very hypocritical that those Western instruments were the ones that were accepted. Prescribed, yes. And the African instruments are evil. They're
prescribed
not
out.
Don't bring them in here. Don't bring them here. Don't bring them here.
So there was a wrong association of the African instruments with spiritism.
Exactly.
And they were locked away with spiritism.
Exactly.
As if these ones are more cleaner.
Exactly.
I like the way Joshua Mapong, because I did a podcast with him some time ago. He says, I don't want that God whom when he hears the African drum, bing, he runs out of the door. But when a piano is played, he comes in. So that's hypocrisy.
Yes. So my uncle, that uncle I was talking to you about, tried to emphasize that point,
bring in the traditional.
Yes, he brought them into the church. Into the church.
Didn't they disfellowship him?
No, they didn't. But there was a lot of pushback and there was a lot of talk, but you see, more people found it okay. I mean, they said, "Why have we been so negative about these instruments? Look, what we are hearing here is wonderful. It's making a lot of sense. The choir is singing. An array of African instruments are playing, and it's so wonderful. It's great. Why have we been thinking this
Who bewitched us?
Yeah, why? And, of course, there were those that insisted it shouldn't happen, but they lost out because more people accepted. And it went on for some time. And, of course, he just probably got tired of the people talking and the pushback and so on. But, the effort that he made kind of worked.
Wow.
Positive things for me.
All right.
Because it cemented my belief that there's absolutely nothing wrong here. I don't understand why this instrument is being condemned. And now when he did that, it only confirmed my feelings that look, there's absolutely nothing wrong here.
So it looks like from what you're saying, Brian, music and culture in Africa still needs a lot of time for us to understand how we could bring in what we had, which we have left out, into our ways of life.
Yes.
Without having to espouse the other spirit.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So, like we say, a knife is a knife. You give it to a butcher, an animal is dead.
Yes.
You give it to a doctor, a life is saved.
Yes.
So it's the same thing, but it depends on how you use it and the attitude to which you apply as you use it. But you're saying Africans must remember we have a plethora of our other instruments we should learn about.
Yes.
Is this part of some of the training you're giving?
Yes. Unfortunately, I don't have at my disposal African instruments. And again, it brings us back to the same point. Because of the way we've demonized our own culture, we've not developed these things. They've been kept away from
in
us.
the other arena of life, which is not our spiritual
and in
arena.
our lives now, our day-to-day lives, we've embraced Western things, with Western clothing, Western styles of doing things, and so on. So as a result, you can't readily find a typical African instrument out there, which, say for instance, go to schools. If you talk of musical instruments in a school, an average school,
they'll bring out the piano.
it will be the Western instruments only: the guitars, the tambourines, the
Piano,
the
keyboards,
triangles, pianos, the violins and
the drums and all
the
of
drums. Yeah, they're all Western instruments that you will find there, which is a serious disservice to our own selves. Because what we should have done, in my opinion, is at this stage, 2022, we should be marketing these instruments to other countries. Yeah, other schools in other countries should be crying for these instruments and looking for African teachers to go there and teach the people those instruments.
Brian, maybe we should give you this as a challenge for you to do it, because you are in that space.
Yes.
You can't give that challenge to me.
Absolutely.
It's none of my calling.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But you are in that space. Perhaps that's a burden that you should have as musicians.
Absolutely. I mean, I still have some life in me, and I can, I suppose, push that agenda.
Uncle is still alive?
Unfortunately, Uncle is
rested.
He's rested, yes.
All right.
And really, it was a loss for the country in terms of music, because he pushed for the African culture and African music to be placed on its rightful position on the global space.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he was, like I said earlier, fighting an uphill battle.
It's difficult. And he was a game changer. He was a pathfinder. It's always difficult to do that.
Yeah.
So culture is a big challenge for African believers.
Yes.
And music.
Yes, and music.
And there's this phenomenon you only find in Africa. We have the hymnals with your chords and everything.
Yes.
But there's this other group of, if it was in academics, I would say grey literature.
Yes.
Of choruses. Where do those come from, and how do we create them? Africans are very innovative.
Very innovative.
They're not in the church hymnal, but they are some of the most vibrant. The moment a chorus is started there, it's rare in South Africa to see people sitting down. Yeah. They just go into this thing. Choruses in music.
That's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
It is.
It's a wonderful thing.
You can't do that to Amazing Grace.
Psalms 100. Make a joyful noise
unto the Lord.
Yeah, unto the Lord. I mean, make a joyful noise unto the Lord. I don't.
So there's noise, and it has to be a joyful
noise. I don't see how something joyful will happen with a very straight and gloomy face.
Yeah.
With a very inactive
like
body.
When I'm saying, abide with me.
Exactly.
Fast falls the... You can't be...
You can't.
So choruses bring in that...
When you hear the choruses, then the joyful noise begins.
Masala, masambe. You can't sit down on that one.
Yeah, you can't. You can't sit down. You can't sit down.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it's frowned upon. That kind of joyful noise is frowned upon. But I try to ask myself, what was David saying? David was not saying the opposite of what is being frowned upon. It's something that is just astonishing.
Yeah.
You can't. I don't know what it is that can be done to unbewitch.
Yes. Yes. From that belief, attitude.
And attitude, yes. Of course, people should not mistake what I'm saying right now to craziness. We do see on TV praise and worship that, to me, is pure craziness. I'm not talking about, I'm not going to mention a church, but I'm saying I have seen on TV praise and worship, which is purely evil. I mean, it's crazy what people are doing, weird, strange things. We're not talking about that here.
Yeah.
We're talking about making a joyful noise unto the Lord that David
is talking about.
To.
Yeah, which is very ordered.
There's order.
It's full of life.
Full of life. You can see where it's coming from. You can see where it's going.
And you can hear what it is saying.
You can hear what the message is very clear.
It's touching the heart.
Exactly.
And it's moving you.
Exactly.
Yeah, there are times when I hear people sing in church. I feel this electric feeling in me, and
you feel goosebumps.
This music is touching me.
Yeah.
It's coming and activating a certain chord
Absolutely.
of anticipation and excitement about what's happening, which really puts you in a certain mood.
Yeah. Here's my take.
Yeah.
Seventh-day Adventist hymnal. It's long overdue to upgrade it.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
If it was an app, it's now long overdue.
It's long overdue because
it's getting corrupted.
My feel is by now we should have had half of it with African music. I'm talking about African music, not translated hymns.
You mean original compositions?
I'm not talking about Christ in song.
All right.
I'm not talking about Christ in song.
Which is translation of
English to vernacular. I'm not talking about that. I am saying those choruses that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And as part of
our musical heritage.
Yes. By now, the church, the global church, should have come up with a project where the hymnal is now redone to incorporate all sorts of music. I'm talking about Caribbean music, African music, Japanese, Korean,
Asian,
or whatever it is.
All over.
Bring it in. Bring it in. You may argue and say, let it be in one language, which is English. That's fine. I don't have a problem. Translated. But we are talking about character. The character of the music, the composition of the music is typically African. For instance, in that pentatonic scale I was talking about, you have songs. We have a lot of songs in that pentatonic scale. We should have by now come up with a hymnal that will have Caribbean music put inside there where we can all, whether white people or black people, can all sing. Just in as much as we sing the Western music, our Western brothers and sisters should be by now
having our
own music. Safe in some cases, even our languages being sung in churches out there. Yeah. That's what's going to, for me, that's what's going to make me feel, okay, yes, now this is genuine. It's just not possible that we can have a hymnal for all these decades, which has absolutely nothing to do with our culture, our Africanness. Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
Songs and so the Spirit is not speaking to Africans.
No.
You know, on this channel, we have a tagline that says we want to be a divine voice out of Africa.
Yes.
That is born out of a conviction that says Africa has not been known by the world as a place where God is present.
Yeah.
God is here.
Yes.
This continent knows God.
Yes.
Europeans didn't bring the concept of God to us.
Yes.
They found us with the concept of God.
Of God, yes.
And therefore, our music is not devoid of divine knowledge and principles. In fact, many of the African lessons and practical principles for life, the ethics, the ethos, and the pathos of an African is hidden in his songs.
Yes.
And therefore, many of these principles are actually very biblical principles.
Exactly.
Like you were mentioning, whenever a child cries, there's a song that comforts them.
Yes.
In that song is a divine principle.
Yes.
Which you will find in the Bible.
Exactly.
Why are you cast down, all my soul? Put your trust in God. And that song was being sung by the mother so that the child knows I am here.
Yes.
And so I think, I wish you could look straight in the mirror, but we'll be challenging our system. But I'm sure they can hear.
Yes.
It's high time we have a section of the Adventist Encyclopedia of music.
Yes.
That's the idea I hear you saying.
Yes, exactly.
Let's have an encyclopedia.
Yeah.
Give the Caribbeans their chance, give the Americans their chance, give the Australians, the Asians, the Africans with our variety of cultures. Give us a space.
Yes.
If no one is going to come for us and do this, maybe we need to just start it ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have enough resources. We do have resources to do this. It's the will that we need to build. We need to build a will to get this done. And it's something that shouldn't be frowned upon. I would find it ridiculous for anybody to say, why should we do this? The same question would be asked, why should it only be the Western style?
Yes.
Why should it? You know what? Think about it this way. Go to a typical village, or let me just say place.
Yeah.
A place. It doesn't have to be a village. It can be a modern place. And you have this grouping of people with their culture, with their way of life and their beliefs and all that. And make them praise God in that culture, in that cultural style.
Yeah.
How effective would they be compared to them having to learn a different culture and then begin to praise their Lord in that learned culture, which is alien to them? I'm talking about...
Maybe that's why we are failing as Christians to live a spiritually enriching life, because we are... Someone said we pray in English in Africa and the answers are delivered in America or England, because the prayer came in English. What they're simply trying to say is pray in your own language, so that their blessing can be brought to the place.
Speak your heart.
You pray in English among the Tongas and the blessing goes to England.
Yes.
Because it came in English. They were not saying God is that dumb, but I think the point they were saying is look around you.
Yes.
And use what's locally available.
Yes.
In fact, the whole argument around climate change and all of the other big political and scientific agendas that are troubling people, including nutrition, is that food is endemic to specific areas.
Yeah.
There are foods you find in KwaZulu-Natal that you won't find in Botswana.
Exactly.
Or you won't find in Ndola.
Yeah.
Why is that? Because God put those plants there with specific nutrients for people who live in that environment.
Yes. Yes.
So if we do the same for music, I think that's what I hear you saying.
Yes.
There is music God gave us in our different cultures and places. If we can enhance that, all right, bring it in line if it's not in line with Scripture. Because some of these hymns we sing today, they had to be recoined to our doctrinal understanding. Because some of them were not written by Adventists.
Absolutely. I know of sorry to cut you, I know of certain hymns in the old Advent hymnal.
Yes.
That actually go against our doctrine.
Yes.
You know, they talk of Mary, they talk of...
going to heaven at death.
Yes. After dying, you go to heaven. And those are not our doctrines. Meaning, we've actually embraced this Western thing, even without much consideration and thinking.
Yes.
We just,
took it and used it
as it is. So it's an indictment actually on us, like you're saying. We need to seriously... I would love, in my lifetime, to see a hymnal, an official hymnal in our church
from our local
that
music
encompasses all cultures, equally spread, equally distributed in that hymnal.
Yeah,
I'd love that. I'd love that.
Maybe that's your call you're giving yourself.
I think so. I need to.
I want us to bring it to a close.
Yes.
But before we bring it to a close, I have to highlight the fact that I have observed from a distance that you actually have impacted your children very strongly on music. I think some of it is in the genes because you've given them voices. I mean, during lockdown, you guys just went into the studio and you were doing stuff.
Yes.
I see you in church, you're doing stuff.
Yes.
And all of you are gifted. Can you share part of that with some of us? Or how does it happen that your kids end up loving music so much and being so good at it?
There's a statement you made, it's in the genes. Maybe it's predominantly that, because when I think back, I haven't really sat down with them and given them lesson after lesson after lesson to get them to do what they do. It has happened almost naturally. Wow. Of course, growing up, we used to have sessions of, singing.
You exposed them.
Singing, we would sing, I would be on the piano, they're singing.
You vaccinated them when they were young, if I can use that word.
Yes. Growing up, and no, sometimes I get amazed, Joy, Joy, my daughter, she'll remind me of these old little songs that I taught them when they were growing up. And, you still remember that? Yeah, Daddy, you were teaching us. And you would say, hey, come, sit down.
Yeah.
And you'd start playing the piano and you'd teach us all these songs. I said, wow, I didn't even remember that. So I guess that has had an effect on them.
Yeah.
Their ability to hold a note and their ability to sing in tune and understand the different tone movements in a song and so on, and keeping to the tune without going off and so on. But I would strongly say I suppose they are gifted. It's a godly gift. Yeah. That they have. Maybe they took it. Maybe they took part of it from
the mango.
Something.
The mango does not fall very far from
the tree.
I believe so.
Yeah.
They took after you.
Sometimes I sit and look at them. I say, "Wow, I think they're doing better than me."
Actually, I was almost tempted to say, if I'm to put you and Brian Jr. here, who's a better pianist now?
He's a better pianist now. He's much better. He's very versatile, and I'm more traditional and more inclined to, chord 1, 4, 5.
All right.
But he goes all out and mixes it up and does all these fancy things. And sometimes I say, wow, I wish I could do that. But I won't tell him. I guess when he watches this, he says, now I know. Anyway, so to answer you in a nutshell, it's I want to believe, the sessions, the devotion sessions that we've had over the years with them, because they involved a lot of singing, and in fact I would say more singing than the word. Of course we would read the scripture at some point, but we would do a lot of singing. Right. I want to believe that kind of created a good foundation for them.
Yeah. Now I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yes, please.
To the viewers out there, I didn't even tell him I'm going to ask him what questions. These are coming from me. They are meant to really tell us a little bit more and get a better perspective of
me,
of you as a person. So I'm going to maybe ask, have you written any book published?
See, unfortunately, I haven't.
You haven't?
I have written some songs and created a booklet without publishing it.
All right.
I have a lot in my archives. And wow, I must shoot myself on that one. I've been lazy.
Please do publish it.
I must do that. It's and you can imagine how far back. It was on a floppy for quite some time. Yeah, luckily I managed to transfer it. Yeah.
So we should look out for that one.
Yes, we should look out for it. And
nice.
There are plans. I did my MBA recently. And of course that's got nothing to do with music.
Yes.
But through that, it prompted me, it kind of gave me the encouragement to, when you're doing thesis and all, you're forced to write stuff and so on.
Yes, it opens your mind
to some other things. So I'm saying, no, I must
come back to this
stuff.
one.
Yeah, I must put down stuff on paper.
Please do.
And share this,
Please do.
While I still can.
Please do. If it's written down, it's good. If you don't publish it, we'll sit down with Brian Jr. and work out a posthumous publication.
Yes.
But let me ask you also, if you were to publish any book outside music or anything, what would be the subject matter you would want to cover in that book? And why?
I have a paining issue right now. It still brings me back to culture. I always want to ask myself, why haven't we developed our languages? I would like to write about that. Development of our African languages to a point where I can see Pythagoras' theorem in my language.
Wow.
And be able to use that to solve
Some
problem.
Of practical problems.
Practical problems. I mean, Afrikaners have done that, haven't they? They have developed a language to a point where it can be used at university level in science. Yeah, we haven't done that, and I would like to, delve into that arena and find out what is it that stops us from developing our languages to that extent.
Maybe we shouldn't have developed, or we could not have developed the Pythagoras one. Maybe there was one that's unique to us.
Yes.
That we have lost.
Exactly.
Because we set back because Pythagoras gave us his own.
Yes.
Whereas God is saying you have your own hidden.
You have your own hidden formulas. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe there's one. That's a beautiful one.
I want to actually work on that. I want to sit with some scholars and say, how best can we discuss this matter?
That's a beautiful one.
Yeah.
So I will hold you accountable to this one. I'm sure our viewers will keep asking.
Absolutely.
Can we get that book, please? Everyone who has ever lived in this planet Earth has been subject to some nightmares.
Yes.
What is your worst nightmare in life? That you don't want to wake up and discover the reality?
I've told this story to my kids.
Yeah.
Maybe a few close friends. I visited my village late in life.
Okay.
I was already done with high school when I went to my village for the first time. Yeah. And I had a time of my life. I mean, my cousins there took me places, to the river, to this, and hunting and all that.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Then the last night, I was there, and the following morning we were leaving with my father, driving back to town.
Yeah.
I couldn't sleep.
Really?
I couldn't sleep up to now. I don't understand what was going on, but some heavy something just sat on me. It may look like a joke right now, we're laughing about it, but that thing has stayed with me.
Something was on you.
Something. I don't know what it is, but something was sitting on me. And I couldn't move. I couldn't push it off. I couldn't get up. I couldn't scream. Wow. But I know because I believe I was awake, because it stayed like that until the light. When you're in
the dawn. Yeah.
The
now
dawn.
The light is filtering
now the light is filtering in through the windows. In the village there's no electricity.
Yeah. So that becomes really
it's really dark.
Yeah.
When you sleep in a room, it's dark. And at some point, eventually, I could see dawn coming.
Yeah.
I could see dawn coming through the window. The light was coming.
Yeah.
And that weight just dissipated, and now I could get up.
Oh my.
Strange, isn't it?
Stranger than fiction.
Up to today, I don't understand what it was. I don't know what happened. I told my dad about it. He just laughed. He laughed at me the whole way as we were driving back. About 900 kilometers of a drive, and
oh my.
He just laughed it off.
It's not the first time I'm hearing it, actually.
And up to now, that thing has lived with me. I don't know what was going on. Somebody please explain to me.
I'm sure someone might have an answer right there.
Yeah.
I've heard it a couple of times. I don't even know what it is myself. Someone has told me, I was awake, I was conscious, but I just couldn't move.
Yeah.
Something was holding me back. I don't know whether it's a medical condition, but it never happens.
I have never experienced it. I had never experienced it before.
Can I tell you one of my nightmares?
Tell me.
So I'm doing a project for one of the UN agencies. It's on traditional healers. I'm a public health specialist, so I'm trying to share knowledge with them on how to prevent HIV infections when they do their work. It's infection prevention.
Yeah.
Okay, within their practice, but also sharing with them some basic information about TB and HIV and all of that stuff. So I'm in Botswana with the officials of the Ministry of Health. We are in a Ministry of Health car.
Okay.
We go to this big traditional healer guy who's the head of the traditional healers.
Yes.
He says, I'm going to show you through my practice, but please don't use
your
phones. Yeah, the spirits won't be happy. And I'm like, what does he know about
ridiculous.
The phone? I had a BlackBerry. Those days of BlackBerries.
Yes.
So I would hold it like this.
Like you're just relaxed.
I'm just talking to him, and this thing is rolling.
Yeah.
All right. I knew it was rolling because I could see the red light and all of that. So we go through his traditional practice, where all the animal artifacts and the oils of the pythons of this and this and this, it's got that smell that's raw in there. So he's showing me how he does his things. Then he says, but for some of them who come and they want to be prayed for, I have another side. There's a pulpit, there's a gown there, there's a Bible.
Wow.
So I pray for them and I sing songs for them, and so I cater for all of those.
All categories.
It's spirituality.
Yes.
You remember Africa struggles with syncretism.
Yes.
Mixing traditional play. So after we're done, stop my recording. We are on our way. Get in the car, we're going.
I can
Here's
see
the
where this
nightmare.
is going. And then?
Get a phone call to the official. Please tell Melusi that the spirits were not happy with what he did.
Oh, no.
So he's a good man, he's a clean man, so they're not going to touch him. And I was like, oh, thank God. But tell him that his video has been deleted.
My goodness.
And when I heard this thing, I froze in the car and I said, really? BlackBerry? Come on. The video was there. You played, it says error.
Wow.
Up to today, until I lost that BlackBerry, I never deleted that video. It could not play. So nightmares. Africa. Where we have people who harvest lightning and they strike it.
Yeah.
That's power right there.
Yeah.
But where does that come from? That's Africa for you.
Africa for you.
All right, let's leave that for another day. I'm sure someone can explain it out there. Now, let's talk about if you are happy, Brian is happy, he's excited, or maybe you're so tired, what is the only dish you want to see in front of you that you say, this is my favorite of all times?
How I wish my wife could watch this.
I'm sure she'll be watching this. Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you now that I'm tired, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm relaxed, I want to eat and just enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Okra? Yeah.
Okay.
Okra, yes. What is it called? The
yeah,
finger-like,
sticky.
yes, those ones, those long ones.
Asparagus?
No, not asparagus. You know the okra.
Yeah, but okra, I know, yes. Okra,
Yeah,
it gets
called okra.
gooey, it's gooey.
It's called okra, isn't it?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
That one. Then there's, I know a lot of people will say, what is this guy talking about? Sweet potato leaves. Sweet potato leaves.
As vegetables.
As vegetables, yes.
Oh, wow.
Now, I'll tell you, there's the sweet potato leaves that are slender and long. And then there's the big
that
ones.
are big round,
Not the round ones, the slender ones.
Why?
The ones that, like three.
Yeah, they're like
one,
three.
Three, yeah, like weed.
Yes.
Yeah, those ones that look like weed. Yeah,
they're
those
long.
Ones. Yeah, they're long, yes.
Why those?
Ones. I just love that. My wife knows if I'm complaining and I want a proper meal, she will go to Randburg and find those vegetables, those leaves,
sweet
and
potato.
Prepare them. Then I'll be elated.
Wow.
With my pup.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
We call them in my language. You call them kalembula.
Kalembula.
Yes.
By the way, I have learned that your country, Zambia, is one of the countries with the largest variety of vegetables.
Yes.
I saw it even when we were doing traditional dishes at one of my churches.
Yes.
They always prided themselves having the largest.
An array of vegetables, different dishes, different relishes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Now, your greatest joy, either as a father, as a professional, as a believer, what is the thing that really makes Brian the happiest, the most joyful?
Wow. I need to zero in on one. Huh?
Any would do.
Any would do. It would take us back to the kids. When I see them on stage perform, because there's never been a time when they've performed something that has not really moved me.
Okay.
So that I think I can't I can't, replace that feeling that I get, that fulfillment, that gratitude to God. That look, thank you.
A part of me.
Yes, thank you, God, that these kids can do this. Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
And I always pray. I always pray for them. I always pray for them that they stay in line. And if I get to feel one of them is going astray, my prayer is always, God, remind this young man, or remind this young lady of what she is, what she really is, the power that she has inside her, or the power that he has inside him, with all the talent and the gifts that you've given. So that makes me happy when I see my kids, perform for the Lord. That really,
Brilliant,
makes my
man.
day.
Brilliant, man. The last one. You know, preachers always say, I'm wrapping up.
I'm wrapping up, yes.
But this is the last of the last of the last. You've lost some loved ones. I've lost some loved ones. What that tells us is that the living know that one day they will die.
Yeah.
And those who have died, we remember them for something.
Yes.
What would you want to be remembered for the day you would have left this world?
You see, when we do these musical programs with the kids at church, you've seen those. I get a sense of fulfillment when I see the child reproduce what I have repeatedly taught, and tried to really push into this child's system for them to reproduce it the way I would want it to come out. And then I see that happening. It just makes me feel, okay, this is it. I've done it. I've achieved. And when I'm not there, I would really love to be remembered as that guy who would, make the kids sing, make the kids perform, play instruments. And I would like that to, kind of carry on.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. I think I'm done. Like
You're
I
done.
said, this is thank you so much for coming through.
No, thank you for inviting me.
Really appreciate this session.
Yes, I appreciate too having this opportunity to share.
Yeah.
What goes on in my system, what goes on in my head.
Fantastic.
And we've talked stuff and we've openly made commitments here. So now we have to fulfill them, because people have been listening.
People will always be watching and saying, Brian, remember that?
Remember what you said? Yes.
Can you come here and help us to do this?
So now I'm getting to work.
Amen. Thank you so much, my brother. And all the best with that.
Thank
I
you
really
very
appreciate
much.
that you've
Thank you
honored
very
us to
much.
come through and to talk about music, which some people don't really see as a very important subject matter, but it is.
It is, yeah.
In Africa, I think the day we are born, we start singing.
Yes.
And the day we die, we are singing.
Yes.
Yes, I'm sure even on our gravesite, there's a rhythm that's there.
Yeah.
But for another day, we'll talk about it.
Another
Thank you so
day,
much.
yeah.
And to our listeners and our viewers, thank you so much. This has been a great MelVee podcast on the go with Brian, talking about music and how music is the other name, I taught him, for an African. God bless you. See you on the next episode. If you've not subscribed, please do remember to subscribe. Do remember to like. If you have any comment for us, for Brian, please do write it on the comments below. We'll be very happy to engage with you. Blessings upon you and all the best. See you on the next episode. Bye-bye.